merry-go-round, round with ya. In and out, then up and down, down.
Hey squaddies, today we're diving into something real, something deeper than gossip headlines and royal drama. We're talking about healing, we're talking about cycles, we're talking about a man who was born into one of the most powerful families in the world and still has to fight for his life, his love, and his peace. This episode is called Prince Harry, the man who chose healing over heritage. Let's start at the very beginning. Prince Harry, born into royalty, second son of the heir of the British throne, and instantly labeled what? The spare. The backup. The understudy. The one who always walks behind. It wasn't just a title. It was his identity, one that followed him, shaped him, and nearly swallowed him whole. At age 12, he lost his mother, Princess Diana, in a violent crash that shook the world. And yet, while we wept, Harry walked behind her coffin with cameras zoomed in on his every move. His grief was not private. His pain was public. And worst of all, it was expected. Harry would later reveal that not only was he discouraged from crying, he was expected to cope the same way his father and generations before him did, with silence, with duty, with numbness. And when he started to question that, when he asked, why do we keep passing this trauma down like a crown? He became a threat. Let's talk about the toxic generational mindset Harry once said his father told him.
Because my father used to say to me when I was younger, he used to say to both William and I, well, it was like that for me, so it's going to be like that for you. That doesn't make sense. Just because you suffered, that doesn't mean that your kids have to suffer. In fact, quite the opposite. If you suffered, do everything you can to make sure that whatever negative experiences that you had, that you can make it right for your kids.
Imagine that, your own father, a future king, telling you that pain is your inheritance. Not love, not wisdom, but suffering. Harry broke that cycle. And that right there, that was the beginning of his exile, emotionally and eventually physically. Let's not forget the Noxy costume scandal from years ago. Headlines painted Harry as reckless and mature, but what they didn't tell you, according to reports, it was his brother William and sister-in-law Kate who allegedly encouraged it, and who took the fall. Harry, again. Every time he was expected to protect the image of those above him, to smile, to wave, to stay in place, to be the spare. Then came Megan, a biracial American actress, outspoken, smart, poised. She didn't fit the mold, and that was her power. But let me be real with you. Love didn't fix Harry. Love confronted him. There was a moment, one of the most honest things I have ever heard Harry admit, when during an argument he called Megan a disrespectful name. And Megan, without yelling, without cursing, simply asked him, do the men in your family speak to women like that? And he said yes. That moment, that was his wake-up call. He realized he was repeating the same patterns that broke him. And for the first time, he chose change.
We chose to put our mental health first. That's what we're doing, and that's what we will continue to do. Isn't this all about breaking the cycle? Isn't this all about making sure that history doesn't repeat itself? That whatever pain and suffering has happened to you that you don't pass on?
Harry began therapy. He worked on his mental health. He stepped back from royal life, not because he hated his family, but because he was finally loving himself enough to protect his peace. He saw Megan being vilified the same way his mother Diana was. And this time, he wasn't a boy who couldn't save his mother. He was a man who could protect his wife. So when the royal firm cut off their security, knowing about the threats, the white nationalists, the terrorist chatter, it was more than cold. It was calculated.
If you step back to try to create a different role, the same official role, but a different working relationship with the institution that you were born into for the sake of your wife and your own mental health and your child, which now, of course, a lot more has come out because I felt as though it needed to come out. The other side of the story needed to be told. God forbid anything should happen. And I don't regret that at all. But 2020, when that decision happened, I couldn't believe it. I actually couldn't believe it. I thought with all the disagreements and all of the chaos that's happening, the one thing that I could rely on is my family keeping me safe. And not only did they decide to remove my security in the UK, but they also signaled to every single government around the world not to protect us.
And you gotta ask yourself, if they left him exposed, what did they really do to his mother behind the scenes? And here's where it gets even more confusing and honestly more painful. There are whispers now, stories being pushed through the so-called royal sources, that King Charles has supposedly created some sort of loyalty list. A list where if Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet attend his funeral, they're considered loyal. And if they don't, then they're written off. But here's the question I can't stop asking. Why are we creating tests of love after death, when the chance of real healing is right now? Let's be real. Harry tried. He called, he reached out, he even asked to visit. And what did his father do? He ignored the calls. This is the same father who knows Harry has been targeted by white nationalists, terrorist threats, in a dangerous media cycle. The same father who cut off his son's security. The same family that demands loyalty in death, but won't answer a call in life. It makes you wonder, is this legacy or emotional blackmail? Because what is giving is narcissism. What is giving is manipulation dressed up as royal dignity. And what is not giving? Accountability, apology, or love. We've seen this pattern before. The silence, the punishment, the spinning of the narrative. And now, Harry just supposed to perform grief in the future to prove he was always loyal? When he was already loyal in the present? That's not legacy. That's trauma. That's a cycle Harry has every right to break. Not for revenge, but for peace. Harry could have stayed. He could have kept being the good son, the reliable spare. But instead, he became a husband, a father, a protector, a speaker, a businessman. He co-founded Archwell. He continues the Invictus Games. He talks about mental health, accountability, fatherhood, and vulnerability. He's raising two beautiful children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, with the love and freedom he never had. Here's the truth. Harry may not wear a crown, but he became a king the moment he took responsibility for his soul. The moment he said, "This ends with me." The moment he chose healing over aristocracy, love over loyalty, and peace over pretending. He didn't abandon royalty. He redefined it. Thank you for listening to Thriving with the Sussexes. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone breaking a cycle on their own. And remember, you don't need a title to be royalty. Just the courage to become the author of your own story. And may your days be filled with blue skies, sunshines, with positive vibes. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell so you won't miss an update. Also, Join our membership if you haven't already. And be sure to check out my Walmart and Amazon storefronts for some of my favorite finds. And you can also follow me on TikTok, Red Note, and Blue Sky. And yes, you can also follow my cats Oreo and Luna on Facebook. And guess what? I'm officially an author. I've written 2 children's books so far in the Oreo and Luna Fur Friends series, and you can find them on Amazon. I'll leave the links in the description box, comment section, and over on my community tabs. And also stay tuned for my adult romance series. My name is Deanna, and you are watching Thriving with the Narcissist. I'll talk to you soon.